Welcome to Subramani. Uh, there is one thing which I do not like CEOs and CIOs to do. That is to decide on asset allocation of clients. That is not their job. That is the job of the advisor. So if you are an advisor, it is your job. And if you are the end investor or end client, it is your duty to be doing this with the help of the advisor. Please understand, the advisor gets his fees, you get the returns, you take the risk, and you want peace of mind. So based on that, you will do your asset allocation. So suddenly you find that all the mutual funds today have a balance advantage fund, and they flaunt it to you. Now we are in December 2021, that balance advantage fund is the best thing to do, and every Tom, Dick and Harry mutual fund has at least 1000-2000 crores in balance advantage fund. Some have renamed it and some have launched it. That's the only difference. The newer companies have launched it. Now, another piece of advice is, when the market is down, you are advised very strongly, stay the course, market will go up. Now, if you were told in the month of April or May that suppose you were my client and I had told you that it's a good time to be selling because the market is up from its March lows, I would not have been wrong, because that would have been perfectly correct advice for you, because you are 80 plus and none of us knew that the market will recover so well by November and hit all-time highs by January, February. Every day it is hitting a new all-time high rather. Now, it's very important that you, maybe if you are 86 years of age, you withdraw some money from there and put it into debt. So maybe that is right for you. Maybe balance advantage fund is right for you. But when fund manager says balance advantage fund is right for you, it just means your overall portfolio should be balanced between debt and equity. It doesn't mean you have to buy balance advantage fund. If you have to buy balance advantage fund, that money has to come from selling equities, not from fresh money, right? That doesn't happen. So you have equities and then you go and put money in balance advantage fund also. Again, you're exposing yourself to more equities. Perfectly all right for a 30-year-old or a 25-year-old who has another 56 years to go. Great advice. Maybe he's got 70 years to go. Great advice. 55-year-old, I don't know, because the market could hit bad times, and then he or she may have some other requirements, may have some home loan to be repaid. So right now I would think it is great advice to remove some money from your bloated equity and repay some debt. Perfectly all right to do that. So don't get carried away by what the problem for the IFA is, when a CIO or a CEO comes on television, comes on some media, and then starts talking about how money should be allocated. But I know CEOs who have made a mess of their own allocations, who have far higher money in their own ESOP. Last week I met a CEO of a company who has sold his stake to another bigger company. He has net worth in the region of 350 to 400 crores. Nothing can go wrong with his life, even if he gets the asset allocation completely wrong. To such people, asset allocation doesn't matter. But for somebody who's got 50 lakhs, 1 crore, going to a CEO and that person making a mess of your asset allocation is not done, right? So be very careful about that. So I have a cousin who recently retired, and she's put all her money in bonds and bank deposits and things like that, because that's what she's comfortable with. Now, if the same person had met me in 2008, which is about 20 years, 13 years ago, I would have ensured that she starts an SIP at least in a mutual fund and makes that grow. And 5,000-10,000 rupees per month is something which she could have afforded. And she would have had at least 6-7 lakhs in equity mutual funds, and that would have grown to maybe 10 lakhs, and at least that much she would have. But she's taken all her 50, 60, 70 lakhs and put it into 6%, 6.5%, 7% senior citizen bonds and things like that. But that gives her comfort. So she is comfortable with that. Personally, I do think she has got adequate money to last her for her lifetime, so it doesn't really matter that she does not have money in equity. It's fashionable to have money in equity, but it is not necessary to have money in equity. And the advice which I gave her 10 years ago or 13 years ago in 2008 to put money in equity is not something which I may have told her now, because she's about 64, 65, and it may not have been the best advice for her. Today I would happily say put more money in debt and less money in equity, even though yields are not too great, right? So selling into a downturn when the market is down is not a bad idea. Please listen carefully. Selling out in the month of April or May would not have been a bad idea for a senior citizen who needed money and who had too much money in equity. It doesn't really matter, because that money is anyway going to last him or her through their life, right? So be careful about the advice that you get. Choose an advisor after tremendous amount of patience, and like Ronald Reagan would have said, trust but verify, and make sure that person is competently giving you advice. It's not just giving you advice, it is competently giving you advice, telling you what's happening in the market, making sure that your money lasts till you last. I mean, your money has to last, be on the planet at least a week longer or a month longer than you do. That's very important. So selling when the markets are down is not a bad idea for a person who needs cash. Putting more money in equity is not a bad idea for a person who is young. Putting more money in equity for a 75-year-old is not bad if he has got much more than what he requires. Putting more money in equity for an 86-year-old is not a bad idea if he has got much more money than what he requires. Keeping a lot more money in debt is not a bad idea for a 55-year-old who has to pay for some major operation for his son or for his spouse or somebody, right? So asset allocation, how much to keep money in equity, what type of equity is known much better to your advisor than to the CEO or the CIO who come on TV and speak some absolute nonsense about why BAF is the best thing to do. BAF may be a good investment, but when a CIO or a CEO tells you BAF is the best thing, you have to understand that they are ultimately gathering assets, so they want your assets to look less bad during a bad time. But you are trying to generate wealth for your family over generations. You have to have the guts to look bad during bad times. Yes, you will look bad during bad times, but that does not matter because the market will come back. Keeping that money in BAF and hoping that the fund manager will get the call right is bad, just because the fund manager got it right once or twice. Yes, nowadays they are using a lot of criteria. It is not just PE ratio, it is price to book, it is a lot of things. But please understand, the topmost topmost companies in the world which are valued have no book. Amazon has no book, Google has no book, Alphabet has no book. Their book doesn't matter. They are not getting return on assets. They are getting return on the technology that they have, right? So be careful about those things. A very long back, Max Life had an ad which said, advice तो सभी देते हैं, आप किससे लेते हो, right? The market is full of people giving advice. There are YouTube videos like this saying, do asset allocation, put more money in equities and all that. There are CEOs, CIOs doing that, right? There are products which are created to do asset allocation automatically. Maneuvering yourself through all this is not going to be easy. If you think you need help, even if you hint that you need help, I think you should seek help outside rather than try to do it yourself. A lot of friends, classmates try to ask advice, and honestly, answer to each question is so different. If you ask me, should you study abroad, and I would say, I do not know, because each kid is very different. Each kid has to decide. The parents have to decide. You have to take a call whether rupees 1 to 2 crores is worth spending. What is the ROI? You have to take, each person has to take a call for himself or herself. If you are rich and you can afford it, I may suggest that you go abroad and study, but it is not necessary that you have to go abroad. A lot of people have lost a lot of money going to Australia and Canada, especially during this downturn, and they've all come back. There is no clue how their degree, which is got online, is going to benefit them, because a lot of those lectures are available free. So if Stanford and Harvard throws its lectures free, would there be any value at all for a degree from an Australian university which you have done online? I don't know. That's the only answer I can give you very honestly.